Hi, I'm Cecil McNeil, a writer filmmaker. Welcome back to my vlog. So, We Rule the Night is a young adult paranormal fiction. It has Norse mythology in it. So, if you're into that sort of stuff, this is the book for you. Before I read this next segment, let me set a scene so you understand. So, this book, We Rule the Night, is essentially set in the Ozarks, which is in Arkansas. And why Arkansas? I lived there for 4 years while I went to college. So, I was fascinated with the small towns within them. So this particular town is called Gilbert, Arkansas. It's deep in the heart of the Ozarks. Gilbert is tiny. It's actually considered the smallest town in the whole of the United States with only 28 people living in it. So Gilbert is so tiny, it doesn't even have a school. So the kids have to go to another town to go to school. It only has like one general store, one cafe, and one 7-Eleven. So yeah. So in this scene, from the last scene, we saw that Julie put the dress, the aquamarine dress, in her backpack just before her father burned down the barn. So tonight is prom, and she's getting ready. So yeah. So I go into details of how she gets ready. She's crying, missing her mom. She even inhales the dress to try and get a scent of the mom because she literally doesn't remember anything about her mom who died when she was 7, and her father wouldn't talk about it. And yeah, so anyway, she's wearing the dress and she's coming down the stairs, get so that she can leave for prom. She stopped short on the staircase. Her father was standing there at the bottom of the stairs, staring at her with wild eyes. She hadn't even heard him come in. Julie didn't know how long they stared at each other before he screamed, "What the hell do you think you're doing? Tonight is prom, father. Take it off. Please, I have nothing else to wear. How did you get it? I burned down the barn," he gasped. If possible, his eyes went wilder. "They have you too now, don't they?" "Have me? What are you talking about? I took it before you burned the barn." Her eyes widened. "Who had mom?" "Take it off!" He roared and advanced the steps furiously. "No, please, father, just let me wear it. This one's." "You don't know what you're getting yourself into. Take it off." "Then just tell me." "I said take it off." He tugged at the dress. "Stop, you'll ruin it. Take it off." He pulled harder than he that oh God. He pulled harder than he intended to. Her stiletto heels slipped off the edge of the stairs, and she lost her balance and fell, rolling down the flight of stairs. "Julene! Julene!" Her eyes returned to focus as she saw her father's concerned face hovering over her, shaking her slightly. She did not know concern could exist anywhere in his stone cold heart. But as soon as she was back to her senses, despite the pain she felt and him telling her to be still, she flinched away from him. "Julene!" She shuffled away as fast as she could. "Julene, I'm sorry. I did not mean to." She scrambled to her feet and ran out the front door to the truck. Since they shared the truck, the key was always left in the ignition. Hill pressed on the accelerator. The truck took off at a dangerous speed. She couldn't see where she was going through the tears pouring from her eyes, but she didn't care. She wept and clutched the steering wheel. She noticed fog increasing the deeper into the forest she drove, and though her mind was telling her she might be lost, she didn't care. What surprised her was that she hadn't already crashed into a tree, for she couldn't see more than 5 feet from the windscreen. Her foot came down hard on the brake as an old woman came into view. The truck missed her by a few inches, but instead of being terrified, angry, or relieved, a high pitched nasal laughter erupted from her. "Nettie?" Julie was surprised she remembered her. Nettie had left Gilbert around the time she was 7. She had had the reputation of being the neighborhood's nutcase. Nettie walked around the bumper to the passenger side of the car. Julie remembered her as being old, but now she looked ancient and very ragged. She was wearing many layers of clothing and a beanie. Wisps of tangled and wild gray hair showed beneath the beanie. Her shoes made a clopping sound against the ground. "Well, butter my butt and call me a biscuit. Julene Langstrad?" Nettie grinned, exposing several missing teeth. "So glad I met you here." She made herself comfortable in the passenger seat. Julie stared at her wide-eyed, not knowing how to respond to her being there. Didn't your mama ever teach you it's rude to stare? Julie just continued to stare. Very well. Wipe your tears, darling, and drive on. My house is just right over there. She pointed forward. Julie tore her gaze off Nettie and started the engine. The truck moved 3 inches when Nettie screamed, Stop! Once again, Julie braked hard, making Nettie, who wasn't wearing a seatbelt, jolt forward. She gave a loud laugh. We're here, she said, getting out of the truck. Julie looked ahead to see a shack she hadn't seen before. The fog seemed to part in front of it, but surround it, giving it an eerie look. Come in, Julie, Nettie's voice beckoned. I got no teeth to bite. She laughed again. Julie swallowed and got out of the truck. The shack was tiny but warm. The only light was from a fire burning in a corner under a stove. Nettie pulled a black kettle from the flames and poured a steaming cup of green tea for Julie. Julie accepted the cup reluctantly. So you live alone? She asked, looking around. I live with Freddie, she answered, pouring herself a cup. Freddie? Nettie pointed a crooked finger to the couch Julie was sitting on. Julie turned and almost spilled the tea on herself. There was a giant rodent sleeping on the couch beside her. Julie would have moved, but Nettie occupied the only other available seat in the crowded space, which Julie couldn't tell if it was a living room, bedroom, or kitchen. It made her wonder where Nettie went to the bathroom, but she really didn't want to know. What kind of animal is that? She asked nervously, sitting at the edge of her seat. Nettie looked at the animal as if noticing it for the first time. It's a possum. Aren't they supposed to be out hunting or something at night? Yeah, but Freddie's old and lazy and sometimes blind. Good God. So, why did you leave Gilbert? She asked, trying to change the subject in an attempt to make herself forget the huge, ugly creature beside her. They kicked me out. Nettie gave another loud, high pitched nasal laughter that made Julie cringe. She glanced at the creature in fear that it would wake up and start moving about, but it remained still. Nettie stopped laughing and went back to her tea, saying nothing further about the matter. Julie couldn't tell if she was serious or joking. My mother died shortly before you left, I remember. Nettie was expressionless. I'm surprised that you recognize me. I'm surprised you remember me, Nettie said. Your mother was always kind to me, she said, her voice far away. That's why I helped her. Helped her? Nettie pretended not to hear by concentrating on her tea. Julie's eyes scanned the entire shack. So you've lived here ever since you left? My, you sure ask a lot of questions, darling. Nettie smiled. I'm sorry. Don't be. Did you get lost on your way to prom? Julie glanced at her dress, suddenly remembering prom. I remember your mother in that dress. My mother wore this dress to prom? Mm-hmm. I'm surprised your father let you wear it. He didn't. Tears filled her eyes as she remembered his reaction. Hush now, child. Don't soil your already soiled makeup. Julie wiped her tears, but more tears replaced the ones on her cheek. If anyone should be crying, 'tis me, Nettie laughed in an attempt to cheer Julie up. Your truck almost ran me over. You came out of nowhere, Julie exclaimed. I came out because I knew you were going to run over my house. So you would rather be run over than your house? Julie asked, unbelieving. I wouldn't let the truck hit me. She sounded too confident. The house? I don't know. Haven't tried before. Julie furrowed her brows. What are you talking about? Nettie's eyes widened as if remembering who she was talking to. Never mind, she squealed. Drink your tea now. You'll feel a lot better in no time. Julie glanced into the cup but didn't drink. Nettie, can you tell me more about my mom? What was she like? I remember next to nothing about her. No matter how hard I try, I can't figure out why. Sometimes when trauma occurs, especially in children, a part of their brain suppresses it. But why would my brain suppress what I so desperately want to know? You only wanted to know recently. Julie wondered how Nettie knew that. Was her death traumatic to me? Probably. But you would have to figure that out for yourself. It would take time, conscious attempts to recover suppressed memory. Nettie grinned. Psychology 101. Julie nodded thoughtfully. She would have thought in that moment that Nettie perhaps was just misunderstood and not a nutcase after all, had she not given another prolonged nasal laughter. Catherine was beautiful and tall, with long black hair and a very nice body. Well, you can tell from the dress. Julie nodded. She was kind and very smart, for someone who didn't go to college. But her smartness was different. It was not educational, but something special and rare. What do you mean? Julie asked. She was different, unusual, in touch with her own reality. You haven't drunk your tea, Julie, Nettie said quickly. You'll feel a lot better. Julie reluctantly took a tiny sip. It wasn't bad. What did you put in it? Lavender, valerian, and a secret ingredient. Nettie winked. Julie stared at the tea as if the secret ingredient would suddenly reveal itself. You're a lot like your mother, Julie. Though I see a lot of your father in you too. Really? Julie said in her mind. Yes, really. Julie flinched. How? Just search within yourself, Nettie said quickly. Julie opened her mouth to speak again, but Nettie quickly interrupted her. You should get going, Julie. You don't want to miss your prom completely and keep that boy waiting. Julie's eyes narrowed. Things were getting weird. Not to mention, you can't afford not to show off your dress, Nettie added quickly. Just don't slip in it tonight. Julie raised her brows. Why? Because it will get wrinkled, silly. Nettie gave another prolonged laughter. Prolonged nasal laughter. So yeah. Remember that if you want a copy of the book or you're interested in finding more about the book, DM me and I'll get you a copy. Thanks, guys. See you in the next vlog.